Have you ever met someone whose words felt like a warm hug? Someone whose presence made you feel seen and understood? That's how people felt about Jesus. He was a teacher from a small town called Nazareth, but his wisdom was as vast as the sky. He walked through dusty towns and green fields, not as a king in a palace, but as a friend among the people. His fame grew not from power or wealth, but from the incredible love he showed and the miracles that followed him. People from all walks of life, fishermen, farmers, and scholars, were drawn to his gentle spirit and the hope he offered. They saw in his eyes a deep understanding of their struggles and their joys. One day, seeing the huge crowd that had gathered to hear him, Jesus decided to find a special place to teach. He led his closest friends, his disciples, up the side of a grassy mountain overlooking the Sea of Galilee. The air was fresh and the view was breathtaking. This wasn't a formal lecture hall with ornate decorations. It was God's own cathedral, open to the sky. As Jesus sat down, a hush fell over the crowd. They leaned in, eager to catch every word. They knew this was going to be more than just another speech. It was a moment that would echo through time, a lesson from the heart of God himself. Imagine sitting there on the soft grass, the sun warming your face, surrounded by hundreds of others just like you. You might have been a fisherman with calloused hands, a mother worried about her children, or a lonely soul searching for purpose. All of you were there for the same reason, to listen to the man who spoke of God's love in a way no one ever had before. He didn't speak with a booming voice of judgment, but with a quiet authority that calmed their anxious hearts. His words were simple enough for a child to grasp, yet so profound they could change a person's entire life. In that beautiful natural setting, Jesus began to share what we now call the Sermon on the Mount. It was a message that turned the world's ideas upside down. He didn't talk about becoming powerful or rich. Instead, he spoke about kindness, humility, and a different kind of strength, a strength found in gentleness and love. People were amazed because his teachings were not just a list of rules to follow. They were an invitation to see the world and each other through the eyes of a loving Father. This sermon was a roadmap to a life filled with true joy and peace. Jesus began his sermon with a series of beautiful promises called the Beatitudes. These weren't blessings for the strong, the popular, or the successful. Instead, Jesus offered blessings to those who were often overlooked and forgotten. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." This was a message for anyone who felt empty and knew they needed God. He was saying that when you feel you have nothing left, you actually have everything to gain, because that's when you open your heart completely to God's love and find your true home in his kingdom. He continued with words that must have sounded like music to weary souls. "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Think about that. He was speaking directly to everyone who had ever lost someone they loved, or whose heart was heavy with sadness. Jesus promised that their tears were not unnoticed. God himself would be their comforter, wrapping his arms around them and bringing peace to their grieving hearts. He also said, "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." This was a radical idea. He was honoring the gentle, the humble, and the patient, promising them a place of true belonging and significance. These blessings were a source of incredible hope for people who felt small and powerless. In a world that celebrated strength and aggression, Jesus celebrated gentleness. For those who were treated unfairly, who longed for things to be right, he said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." He was assuring them that their deep desire for justice and goodness was seen by God, and that one day their souls would be completely satisfied. God cares deeply about fairness. and He will not forget those who passionately seek it for themselves and for others. Most importantly, the Beatitudes showed that God's heart is always with the hurting. He sees the person who feels invisible, the one who cries in secret, and the one who tries to be kind when the world is harsh. Jesus was painting a picture of a kingdom where the values are flipped. The people who feel lost in this world are first in God's eyes. He wasn't just giving a speech. He was opening a window to the very character of God. A God who lifts up the lowly, comforts the sad, and offers His kingdom to anyone who comes to Him with an open and humble heart. After sharing these beautiful blessings, Jesus went deeper, talking about the very heart of His message, love. He challenged the crowd to think beyond the simple rules they had always known. It wasn't enough to just avoid hurting someone. Jesus called them to actively love them. He taught one of the most difficult and transformative ideas ever shared. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. This was revolutionary. He asked them to replace feelings of revenge and anger with acts of kindness and forgiveness. He wanted them to show a love so radical that it reflected the love of God, who sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. Jesus also talked about honesty, not just in our words, but in the very core of our being. He encouraged people to be so trustworthy that they wouldn't even need to make promises or swear oaths. Let your yes be a simple yes, and your no a simple no. This teaching was about living with complete integrity, where your inner self and your outer actions are in perfect harmony. He wanted His followers to be people of pure heart, whose character was so solid and true that their word alone was their bond. This kind of honesty builds a foundation of trust that can change relationships and communities for the better. Then, Jesus addressed one of the most common human struggles, worry. He pointed to the lilies of the field and the birds of the air, explaining how God beautifully clothes them and faithfully feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? He asked. He urged the people not to be consumed by anxiety about their daily needs, what they would eat, drink, or wear. Instead, He invited them to trust in God's loving provision. He taught that when we seek God's kingdom and His righteousness first, all these other things will be given to us. It was a gentle call to release our fears and rest in the care of our Heavenly Father. Perhaps the most famous teaching from this sermon is what we call the Golden Rule. Jesus summed up a life of love in one simple, powerful sentence. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. This is the heart of it all. It's a practical guide for every interaction we have. Before you speak, before you act, pause and ask yourself, is this how I would want to be treated? This principle moves us from selfishness to empathy. It reminds us that love is not just a feeling. It is a conscious choice to treat every single person with the dignity, kindness, and respect they deserve. The crowd on that mountainside was amazed. They had never heard anyone teach with such authority, kindness, and love. Jesus wasn't just adding more rules to their lives. He was showing them that the most important thing of all was to love God with all their heart and to love other people as themselves. He made it clear that following God wasn't about perfectly checking off a list of duties. It was about the condition of your heart. A heart filled with love, mercy, and forgiveness is what truly matters. This message was a breath of fresh air, liberating people from the burden of trying to be perfect and inviting them into a relationship based on grace. Even though thousands of years have passed since that day, the words Jesus spoke on that mountain are just as powerful and relevant for us now. Our world is often filled with division, anxiety, and judgment. We see anger on the news and feel pressure in our daily lives. The teachings from the Sermon on the Mount offer a different way to live. They provide a timeless compass that points us toward a life of greater peace, deeper joy, and more meaningful connections with others. It's a path away from conflict and toward compassion, away from worry and toward trust. Imagine what our communities would look like if we truly tried to live by these teachings. What if we chose to pray for those who frustrate us instead of complaining about them? What if we decided not to worry about tomorrow, but to trust that we are cared for? What if we made the golden rule the guiding principle of our homes, schools, and workplaces? The world would be a kinder, gentler place. These are not just nice ideas. They are practical steps we can take every day to bring a little bit of heaven to earth, one act of love at a time. Ultimately, the Sermon on the Mount is an invitation from Jesus to live a happier, more beautiful life. It's a call to be humble, to be merciful, to be peacemakers, and to be a light in the darkness. These teachings show us that true happiness isn't found in what we have, but in who we are becoming. By embracing a heart of love, we not only grow closer to God, but we also discover the incredible person He created us to be. It is a message of enduring hope, reminding us that no matter who we are or what we've done, a life of love and kindness is always possible.